Hello, Andrew here. Welcome to Lecture 6 in the Designing Digital Content in Youth Work module. This is the second half of the video editing practical, and I'm just going to continue on using the OpenShot video editor as we had done previously, and just kind of step into it and begin to pull together like a presentation video for this particular course. As I said, it's probably best to put it to some purposeful use for yourself. So as we go through this, you might have an idea about some sort of presentation or introductory video you might want to do for a specific program that you're trying to run with young people, or it might be a piece of research that you're doing, or some sort of introductory video to yourself, your organization, or something in between. If you have any, if you're still unsure of what you might want to do with that, please just keep it all in the back of your mind as we go through this, and contact me by email if you need some support or assistance in picking what you might want to make this out of. So what I'm going to show you now is I have a folder built here with the lecture, but I have what I called rushes, which is simply just a unedited 4-minute piece of me recording using the computer camera. So it's just a direct sort of two-camera address really with that, but we call it rushes because it's unedited material. So this is what we're going to pull into the editing software and start to clean it up and polish it. So also what I have is just some audio to go with that, and then a couple of logos for the different organizations, just to kind of put something at the end of it. So I'm going to divide this into two halves really, of just showing you how to pull all this in here and begin to tidy it up and build something coherent out of it. And then once I've touched every one of the component parts of how to do that here, I'm going to skip ahead to a more finished edit version, and then work backwards from there to just show you specific sort of changes or tricks that I might have done to make it look cleaner. The objective being just to tidy up this and to make something sound a lot more articulate and polished than it actually was in the first place. The ideal you really want to look for, the trick you really want to look for, is that people don't notice the edits as they're happening, that there's a continued sort of logic between what's being seen and what's being heard that kind of takes the viewer's attention away from the edit, unless it's very deliberately done so where you want to draw their attention to the edit. That's normally the trick and the best way to go about it. So I'm just going to start pulling all this together, and I'll explain things as I go with that. So what's in here, I've saved a new folder, a new project file, called Lecture6 video, and within that I'm just going to start importing different files into the project here. So I'll just pull in the rushes video first, and it pops up here in our project files. So as we can see here, we have 5 tracks, including the 0, which we'll probably end up using most of them, but for the time being I'm just going to throw this on the bottom one just to see what we have, and I'll play it out a little bit just so you can get a feel for what I've recorded, mostly with all the kind of errors and blips in between it, things that we want to kind of edit out because it gets a bit protracted. Obviously the 4-minute video here, we don't need anything near that length, so we want to cut it down to something more concise. Apologies, starting with still image. Start at the start. Hello, Andrew here. This is just going to be a short video introduction to the Designing Digital Content in Youth Work module. I just want to do this, and you'll do something similar hopefully, just to get a handle of the video editing tools, but also to kind of ideally use it towards some sort of productive end with yourself, and like different projects that you might want to roll out with young people or alongside young people using such tools. So yeah, this from my end, it'll be a case of this as a practical deliverable will show me that you're getting a handle on the different sort of tools and the skills required to begin doing your own video editing. So I'm just going to show you how you can take a lot of kind of flabby stuff out of the middle of, long waffly sort of conversation like this and make something sound a lot more efficient than it actually was when it was delivered in real time in the first place. Okay, so as we see, not a lot of that is needed. I've just heard myself kind of give the same introduction again, so sorry about that. But what we need to look at here for just cutting up these rushes and beginning to get rid of it here is our razor tool here, and the snapping enable tool, which is just, the snapping enabled is just, it allows you to select a clip and have it kind of join almost like magnetic blocks, one after the other rather than overlapping. So it's a pretty handy one to use, especially when you're kind of starting out, so that, you know, the clips aren't overrunning each other or the image and the audio aren't falling out of sync. All these things which can be like really problematic as you go along. So I'm just going to, if I select that, we'll see that the square is now highlighted around it, and then we know that it's selected and it's also on that tool. So if I come down to the clip here, and I can see on the exact point that I want to do it, and just put a cut, then deselect it. So we just want to select the selector tool itself, and just simply hit delete, and we see everything before that has already gone. So already we're going to start to trim down what we might need and what might resemble an introduction to this. So this will all kind of feed into that, I suppose. So yeah, welcome to the designing. Okay, so this looks like the introduction. So yeah, welcome. We'll try find. So yeah, well, about 6. Try around here. Again, I'm just going to select that and begin to trim that. So, you know, it's might be a little bit. You'll get the hang of this the more you go along. We're finding split-second edits and being able to zoom in and out there. Where we see, if we zoom out, we see the full duration up to 20-odd minutes or whatever like that, and all the way in where we get it down to one frame by one frame, and even less. So you can be really refined with the edit, and also you can remove even single words or pauses out. And I'll show you a few examples of that as we go through, because I know you've heard enough of me to know that I'm kind of good. I'm good for that. Welcome to the designing. Welcome to the designing digital content in youth work module. The goals of this module are many, and we'd expect to design and create digital content using a selection of digital media technologies, starting with still image, image-based editing apps. So if I remember right, what I was discussing here was something along the lines of the, just the kind of the outline of the module there. So, you know, I'm sure there's a part of me reading this verbatim, which we don't particularly need. We just need a snapshot of it. So I'm just going to try. What I'm going to do already, I can kind of get an idea around it, is just throw up a caption over the top, or a card of text for each one of these 5 points, which will just break it down to design and create maybe, and then develop strategies, demonstrate communication and presentation skills, something along those lines, structured and designed inquiry, whatever, you know, just something, and conceive, trial, plan, and design digital media. If I pick those keywords out and overlay them, instantly it will allow me to divide what I've given here into 5 kind of shorter sections, which in turn I can kind of tidy up, and then overlap and you know, kind of manage how that's going to do. So I'll build one of these. I'll just do these edits and then build some sort of overlay captions really quickly and show you how that's done, and then move on. But that's just kind of give you a picture of where this is coming from. Also video editing and some audio production and audio editing as well. And we'll touch on some web-based technologies, but, you know, we'll see how far we can get with that really. Okay, so that's a kind of natural end of that, and I'll just go back and take my breath out of it. So if we go along here, we can see literally on that frame now, we can get it from there and get rid of this section. One of your goals is to develop strategies to integrate. And then the lip smacking and the as and all those things being picked up by the mic can be got rid of as well. Yeah, if I turn this on, should be about right here, we'd see. Your goals is to develop. So we'll see now how that looks for a first pass at it. Your goals is to develop strategies to integrate these digital. How far we can get with that. It's a bit tight at the moment, so I might just want to zoom out of that again and just pull out a few frames on the start of it. So let me see, I'm in as close as I can be.
My dear goals is to develop. Your goals is to develop. So you can get with that thing. One of your goals is to
So that's a bit neater.
develop, or we can get with that thing. One of your goals is to develop strategy.
So as we can see here, audio-wise, if we listen to it, it'll sound neat enough for a first pass. The image clearly jumps where you notice the edit. So this is where we're going to play with it and kind of use the text overlays, kind of like a bandage to put across this, or a plaster to kind of take the viewer's attention away from that edit, because they don't really need to, and we just want to drive what I'm saying really.
One of your goals is to develop strategies to integrate these digital.
So very quickly, I'll just introduce one of those effects. Well, we just need to introduce text really to that. So let me see how I get that. I'm actually, what I might do, I believe I made it earlier. Let's see if I can import just a slate of white. I think I made such a thing. So I'll just pull in all these logos while I'm at it. And let me see, what can I do? Title, up the top here. If I go to title and select that, we'll just bring in the title and see how that looks. So we're just going to use the camera border one. We can change the background color here to whichever. I'll leave it as a white. That's okay. And the text color, I'll just play around with a bit where I'll just kind of make it this sort of rosy color there and see how that looks. And then we can obviously change what's written. So let me just see what the wording was on that first one. Design and create. I'm going to just type that in for now and see how that looks. Okay, and we can change the font here as well. Again, you can import your own ones as well, or whatever you kind of wanted to do, and start playing around with the style of that. So I'm going to do a bold Leo at that. Let's see, and that looks kind of neat. I might change the size of it though. But one thing is just, again, kind of a graphic element to just keep it consistent. So some of the other sentences or the other kind of captions are going to be longer words like demonstrate or develop strategies or something. So design and create might be one of the shorter ones. So if we say maybe make it 12 point and leave it at that, but I've changed the font again. We go back to Leo. Bold, 12 point. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so if we save that, and it should have built it here, and it has. So we can just pull that in, and instantly we have that overlaid on the top of what we had previously with a kind of a default length that we don't really need to be that long, but until we listen to it and kind of get the flow and have them kind of matching up and being uniform throughout, we're not sure exactly how we want that to be. So let's just see what that is.
We'll see how far we can get with that thing. One of your goals is to develop strategies to integrate these digital.
Apologies, I built the wrong one. This will be over here, and this one should be develop strategies. And we're just going to put it right on the top of that. So I'll go back up and build the new one. Same setup. I might change the color a little bit here just for a bit of variation. And change the font again to Leo bold 12 point. Okay. And develop strategies is enough of a kind of keyword hook to kind of put on that. Background color, yeah, that all looks good. So as we can see, that's come in, but we can still edit it from here. All I did there was right click from here, and we can edit that again. So we want to change the background color because it's not displaying as it said it would. So we'll see if that changes it, and there we go. Okay, so that's saved up now, and here's our file that can go straight over here. Yeah, so that seems to be working out all right.
Technologies, but we'll see how far we can get with that thing. One of your goals is to develop strategies.
So again, there's little things, and they're kind of hints that you get out, just getting a feel for how that edit needs to happen. Where if I can zoom right in on it, we'll see that's probably landing right on top of the edit. So it's kind of a bit unnatural and kind of jarring the same way, not as badly as the the jump in the visual image has been, but still it's just a little bit of overlap is usually neat with this. You'll notice if you're doing a lot with dialogues, I'm not going to do it here, but it's a good trick to have dialogues overlapping where you might show someone, if you two cameras or two people being filmed as talking, to show one person listening to the last part of the other person's sentence before replying, and rather than just having it straight from one to the other, where you can kind of break it up a little bit more and make it flow a little bit more naturally for a viewer to see. And that's kind of just one thing that pops into mind there. Obviously, we don't really have time to get into the nitty gritties of editing. I will link to a really interesting editing documentary. I'll just take note of it now, the In the Cut, which for anyone interested in this will show you every sort of technical device in and around video editing and how many tricks are applied, and just the sheer craft of it, because it is a fantastic craft in and of itself as well. So I will link to a documentary. I believe it's online there somewhere. So, okay, let me see where we are with this.
One of their goals is to develop strategies to integrate these digital technologies into youth work practice and start, leading out a best practice virtual digital youth work practice.
Okay, so there's a bit of repetition there, but we'll see. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to do about that.
In the presentation about these and work, so ideally all leading towards some form of showcase or illustration of the work, and that being examples of best practice youth work using these sort of skill sets, and also how that can be kind of fed into projects with young people where there's a certain dynamic that can happen and a certain excitement that can kind of help maintain interest levels and just keep it a kind of something moving along that comes with digital technologies that mightn't be there with more traditional forms of youth work.
Okay, so again, I'm kind of mindful of the time here, and there's not really a lot of learning after a while with this, that you just see me bringing in text and images. And the only other thing we'd really want to bring in, I'm going to put the logos at the end here, but I'll do that later and come back to it and show you how that's done. And then kind of one of the second last things would be just to kind of put a piece of music across the top, much like the graphics, where it just helps knit the audio together and take that kind of echoey noise out of the air, and also you kind of fill it a little bit more and have it a bit better. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration of that, and then obviously I'll come back with the finished version just to show you how that might all come together. So I've just pulled in a track here that I'm just going to shorten because it's the full length of it. We don't need it anywhere near that length. And then also this has come in. If I right click on it, we can see a few of the kind of settings that happen. Again, this will happen with all the clips where you can change them, put animations, different effects, the fade in. If we fade in the start of this clip, we'll do a slow fade in on it and just give you an idea what that looks like.
Welcome to the designing digital content.
And likewise, we wanted to do that on the if we wanted to do that on the title itself, we should be able to do that. And you can see this is the key thing, just to kind of, you see the red outline coming around this selected clip on the edges. So just keep an eye on that as well. And if I fade in at the start of this clip, and I can do a fast or slow, I'll do a slow again. And you can see here, these small green marks indicate that the fade has been applied there.
Expect to design and create digital content using selection of digital.
Again, if we put it here at the end, it should start to overlap as we see there, right? So it's barely going to be fully transparent.
Expect to design and create digital content using selection of digital media technologies.
Okay, so already you can see you can change the pace and the duration of this stuff and really make it
expect to design and create digital content.
You can make it really, fluid sort of approach to doing this, and
expect to design and create digital content.
So it's just kind of reading one over the other because this clip is so short that I have to do faster fades. That's what basically is happening. So it'll be almost like a pulse, I'm assuming, if I do this now.
Expect to design and create digital content.
No, still too short. But you can see all these clips have been sort of...
Expect to design and create digital content using select.
So it's kind of overlapped it there. Okay, so anyway, likewise, if I go in here, I can just clear them all, no fade, and it gets rid of everything. And that just kind of brings it back to the original state. So yeah, you know, within here, there's different options for that. I want to just look at, if we select the audio in here with the volume as well, much like we can, likewise, we can bring it in, you know, fade in the audio, start it and fade in faster, slow the same, or we can just do it for the entire clip where we just want to have some sort of, for the moment and anyway, I just want to have it blended into the background, so we just have some sort of, you know, something a bit more tonal and atmospheric rather than distracting from what's being said. So this is 30%. We'll see how it sounds now.
Welcome to the Designing Digital Content in YouTube. Welcome.
So hang on, let's see what happened.
Welcome to the Designing Digital Content in YouTube module. The goals of this module are many, and we expect to design and create digital content using a selection of digital media technologies, starting with still image,
so we're looking for here
apps, also video editing, and some audio production and audio editing as well. And we'll touch on some web-based technologies, but you know, we'll see how far we can get with that. One of your goals is to develop strategies.
Okay, so that's pretty much all we want to demonstrate there. But the combination of the graphic overlay and the sound has totally taken away from the jarring nature of this edit and how they were colliding with each other back to back, and kind of looks like something a lot more fluid. So once we, you know, that would be like a cleaned up version of that, and then we're just going to go into the separate parts of like each of the 5 points that I'm looking to kind of emphasize, and then go back and look at the opening, an introduction, maybe a title for myself, and then at the end for the logos as well, and a fade out, and obviously to treat the audio around that as well, so the whole thing looks complete with a fade out of the audio. And that should amount to, like, you know, a polished version of what we're having. But essentially, you know, you don't really need to look at me doing this, because I'm going to do versions of the same thing over and over again now, where it's just applying a graphic with some audio next to a clean edit, working on the original rushes of this. And that's pretty much where we're going to be with that. So I'm just going to pause the video, work on one separately, and then come back when I have something much more refining, going towards completion, so I can output it then and give you an indication of how that works. Okay, and welcome back. What I have now is, as you can see, just a bit more of a complete timeline. I'll just zoom in and I'll just orientate you around as before. I don't particularly want to play out the whole length of the video or the original rushes. I'll put up these as like the project file and the different assets, so you can piece it all together yourself and look at where the cuts and edits are going, if that's something that you're interested in doing. But barring that, I just want to show you know, I'll do the opening first so we can see. The audio, music audio is turned off now, so I just want to show you the edits and how the audio and image have been edited together first. And then obviously the audio is just kind of blending that together. So I will go back and change the volume speed on that now, but I'll just show you a little bit of this for a minute.
Goals of this module are many, and we expect to design and create digital content using a selection. This module are many, and we expect to design and create digital content using a selection of digital media technologies, starting with still image apps, and also video editing, and some audio production and audio editing as well. And we'll touch on some web-based technologies, but you know, we'll see how far we can get with that. One of your goals is to develop strategies to integrate these digital technologies into youth work practice. Also for us to demonstrate communication and presentation skills in the presentation of ideas and work. So, you know, ideally all leading towards some form of showcase or illustration of work, and that being, you know, examples of best practice youth work using these sort of skill sets. We expect to begin to build and maintain a coherently structured, designed, inquiry-orientated professional digital portfolio, or as you've been using with Slack, the community of practice model that we have with that. So all of these should be there for other people to see, and mostly just that become like a normal sort of extension of you know, virtual and digital youth work, where we can see the work kind of illustrated itself. And all of this will essentially come together to assist you as, like, you know, a youth worker or practitioner in assisting young people and working alongside young people to conceive, trial, plan, design digital media resources in collaboration with peers, with their peers in a youth work environment. So yeah, all those things combined should be, you know, helping to kind of add something really dynamic and interesting to your youth work. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So please get in touch if you have any questions about any of this, and I look forward to seeing your own videos. Okay, cheers, bye.
And then the titles at the end. Okay, sorry, I thought to let that play out there, because this is one part of editing where it's watching and rewatching just to see where there's errors. And you can see there's a couple of things going on there. Some of them are just related to a lag, or there's a little bit of an issue with playback in OpenShot Video Editor. Some of them are actually genuine mistakes that I need to go in and treat, just where it's still a little bit clipped. So I'm going to go through them one by one there, and I'll just kind of break that down to see what is actually happening there. So this one seems to be an error where that should be displaying my name, but is for some reason displaying design and create. So I just want to see why that might be the case, because that file seems to be replaced. Basically, I built a file just with my own name as a title. That should have come in as such. And it doesn't seem to like that. Okay, so I'm going to rebuild that one again now just to see what was the issue there. And again, it was just like a faster way to kind of get through a certain sort of introduction. That was my only thinking with that, really, where I could just introduce myself.
Goals of this module are many.
So I just want to do the welcome as well, which I don't have. Put the title in first, and then I'll do that. One sec. So yeah, once again, I'm just going to write my name very simply. I'll change that font to, again, just what we did before. I'll keep everything kind of consistent for now. And we'll make the color, the background white, and the text black. So let's see how that looks. I'll try to bring that in. So that's developed strategies, shouldn't be there. And that file needs to be edited again to change the background color. And now I should be fine. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll just fix this. I'm not sure why this is. Okay, there we go.
Using a selection of digital media technologies.
You know, I'm actually going to change that again, and I'm just going to change the background to a change the font to a white is what I'm going to do, and just reverse it out and see if I can make it look kind of appealing on the white background. So let's just see how this is going to appear. Edit title, and we're going to get rid of the background. I'll change that to 0, the alpha. Okay, this should do it. Okay, apologies about that. It's just some sort of small bugs kind of creeping in here. You know, this is one of the things to just be mindful of with freeware as well, where there can sometimes be a little bit of trial and error involved in getting it working right, just because of the free nature of it, I suppose. But overall, it's a pretty powerful little tool, this one. So, you know, I wouldn't I'm not doubting it in the slightest with that. It's just small little kind of quirks that need to be figured out, that's all. I'm just going to bring that one in instead. So, okay, and then within there, I just want to move it around in the frame. So to do that, in order to kind of to move it into position, we'll go in here and we'll try change the layout. So if we put it to bottom, well, actually, I'll do this through the. See, all this is going to do is resize it in terms of making. I'll just do it so you can see it. So if we leave it in the center, make it a quarter size, we're just going to see a really small font. And as you see, we don't really want that. So I'm just going to change the layout to reset it. I would advise you just to play around with these tools until you find something that's working for you. All I want to do is transform it really. And within that, all I want to do is move the actual text for the duration. But as you can see here, I think I've done something because it's quite intuitive here as well as to what it's going to do.
This module are many, and we'd expect to design and create digital content.
Okay, so that grant, I'll use that as a happy accident effect where, let me see what I do. Keep both sides. We'll try that.
Goals of this module are many, and we'd expect.
And I'm going to do a slow fade in at the start, and then a slow fade out at the end. End the clip, fade out slowly. So let's just see how this begins to look.
Goals of this module are many, and we'd expect to design and create digital.
So if I make that shorter, we might get something a little bit sort of like an animated text effect.
And we'd expect to design and create digital content using a selection of digital media content.
And again, I'll reset the fade out on there. So we have it on the clip as well, so that it's just.
We'd expect to design and create digital content using a selection of digital media
Okay,
technologies.
all right, that'll do.
Apps, also video editing, and some audio production and audio editing as well. And we'll touch on some web-based that can create digital content using a selection of digital media. The module are many. This module are many, and we'd expect to design and create digital content using a select.
So I want to put the design and create. And I just want to put that here now, and obviously make that a lot shorter because it doesn't particularly need to be so long.
Expect to design and create digital content using a selection of
and we'll see, that's develop strategies. No wonder I'm not able to change it to design and create. So wrong one there. So let me just see. I just want to get this. I'm just going to create a new one really quick, and then we'll have all of them here. So once more back to LEO bold 12 points. There we go. And we'll change the text color again to that rose color that we had it before. Let me see. Yeah, around there. And the background color we want to make white. Okay. So let me see. Fingers crossed we get this working right this time. Okay, so again, I'm just going to join that up at both sides of that with the.
We expect to design and create digital content using a selection.
So we'll have that come in closer to me saying it.
Design.
So if I have that.
We'd expect to design and create digital content.
Still a bit slow, so I'm just going to pull all that around a little bit.
We'd expect to design. And we'd expect to design and create digital content using a selection of digital media technologies.
Okay, so I'm just going to move all this over slightly just so we can see how we're looking.
Goals of this module are many, and we'd expect to design and create digital content using a selection of digital media technologies. starting with still image apps, also video editing apps, image.
So again, that's just slightly jarring, so I want to clean that up a little bit as well. And if I just
still image apps, also video editing, and some audio production and audio editing as well. And we'll touch on some web-based technologies, but we'll see how far we can get with that. One of their goals is to develop strategies.
So this is out of place. I'm feeling that file is.
We'll see how far we can get with that. One of their goals is to develop strategies to integrate these digital technologies into youth work practice, and also for us.
Okay, so it's a little bit jarring here, so I'm just going to clean this up in terms of the breaks going on with it. Yeah, we just want to kind of shorten that file and this one as well.
Into youth work practice, and also for us to demonstrate communication and presentation.
I'll just do a slow fade in on that. See if that kind of takes that edge of
practice, and also for us to demonstrate these into youth work practice, and also for us to demonstrate these into youth work practice, also for us to demonstrate communication youth work practice.
So I'm just going to clip this out just to see if there is like a single frame that's just giving that and sound.
Practice, and also for us.
Actually, I think it was on the wrong clip that I was trying that. So again, if I just do edit, undo, edit, redo, we can go back to where I was before.
Also for us to demonstrate communication, also for us to demonstrate also for us to demonstrate, also for us to demonstrate communication and presentation skills in the presentation of ideas and work. So, ideally all leading towards some form of showcase or illustration of work and that. Okay, so anyway, let me just see if there's anything else to point out, because as I said, editing can be quite involving and just become a little bit sort of, just watching, rewatching and doing all that. I don't want to really labor it, I just want you to kind of get in and get confident, get your hands kind of dirty with using it yourself there. So right clicking on it will show you all the sort of shorthand properties. In here you have any number of transitions, different ones that can be overlaid on stuff, and effects, all much like the image editing software, to be played around with really, where you can just kind of, mess around with different sort of color saturation elements or whatever. I'd advise you to just kind of play around with them and see how that, how you find it really. That's all I could kind of suggest with that, and just you'll find something that kind of suits what you want to do. But between the title, there's kind of handy plugins for animated title, which will link with Blender, I believe. Yeah, so if we look at it here, you can see Blender again, another really high-powered bit of freeware 3D modeling software that you could use as well if you were that way. If you were interested in that, getting onto something that advanced. But I'm not going to kind of bother with that now. Because it goes well beyond the kind of the realms of what we can achieve in this course. But overall, yeah, so what I'm going to do now is just show you the last part to export the video, and then I'll put all the files and a clean, polished, finished version along with the project file online on the Moodle, so you can kind of have a look at all this, and if you need to interpret any of it yourself, you're more than welcome to do that. So within this, let me see, I'm just going to call this the Andrew module intro video, and that's what we call that. And then just select the folder path for that, so I'll just put it into the same folder as the other ones are. That's fine. And now we can look at different sort of formats if you wanted it for web or DVD, where you can profile it, or if you go into the advanced, you've got much more sort of control over the settings that you want to have. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to do a H.264 codec MPEG-4 encoded, which is kind of a small medium file size with a good bit of quality to it, to 720. Look at the amount of settings we have here, from like HD all the way through to 4K and Ultra HD stuff.
There's any number of settings that you can get off here, but for the purposes of this default one is fine. Normally it will match it to whatever you have as the timeline, and quality will make high as well. So if we got export video, we should see a percentage coming up, and that's going to come out pretty quickly. And I'll just wait to see that output, and then I'll upload this along with the other sort of, you know, the files and everything, so you can have those for referencing. Apologies for the kind of dead air in that lecture there. As I said, it just gets a little bit involving, and you know, you're kind of fixing one issue and something else emerging, so it's not really a spectator sport in that regard. But I'd like to think I've kind of shown you enough handles on it. Overall, I'd have to say, you know, I only encountered OpenShot Video Editor for this project when I was looking to find a sturdy sort of freeware video editing software, and this is really powerful. You know, even just we're looking at the outputs there, that you can output a 4K video, which would be, you know, cinema. 4K would look perfectly fine on a cinema screen, like it's high-end professional quality. So for a free piece of software to be able to handle that type of you know, that type of footage, and that had the kind of the computing power to be able to do that, really speaks for itself, you know. And barring that, it's just a case of playing around with it and just kind of finding your own way. So hopefully you can think of an idea for a good mini little tutorial to give yourself a little kind of pet project that is purposeful to you and the youth work you're doing. And I look forward to seeing that as well when you have it uploaded. I'm just going to show you where this is going to come out first, and then we'll leave it at that. So you can see it's being built here. We just see, so there we go. This is it here. Quite handy size, 250 megabytes, not too bad in size. So there's the dimensions, and there's the duration of it. So I'll just show that really quickly.
Goals of this module are many, and we'd expect to design and create digital content using a selection of digital media technologies, starting with still.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. As I said, I'm going to upload the polished version of it with the original assets and all that project file as well, which is this .osp file, and I will get that up online for you as well. And you can reference them if you want, or just download them and plug them into your own version of OpenShot Video Editor. Once you've all the assets, and you can kind of call them from a different folder, it should all link together, and you'll be able to replicate this project that I have here once you've got all those images and everything that I have associated with that. So barring that, yeah, please play around with this and come back to me if you have any questions. Once again, apologies for the dead air in that lecture. I hope it doesn't happen again. Okay, thank you. Bye.